Today's first topic that we're going to talk about is tipflation. Now, who has heard of tipflation before? Who knows what tipping is? Let's start from there. We're all around the world. We're not sure what everyone does, but what is tipping? What is considered tipping? Giving money to Jinri. Perfect. That is the number one thing you should be tipping me on. You should just give me money. So what tip is when you offer gratitude, when you're thanking someone for your service by giving them additional money than you're supposed to, right? So in the US, as you guys know, tip is a common thing. You eat lunch. You basically give them 15% of your total bill in a restaurant. So it basically started in a restaurant, as you guys know. However, these days in US, it's been going beyond. But we stopped there talking because, at least it's still tipping. I know people mentioned about kiosk and everything. Well, this is what's happening in Korea. So I got a news, and this happened actually a couple of days ago in Korea, but it's telling me Kakao Taxi is now asking to tip. They're having this tipping service on their app. Now, something that's different from Korea to US is that Koreans do not tip. They actually don't like tipping. So when they go on trips, or a lot of Koreans who studied in the US, they were known for not tipping. So a lot of the restaurant owners, a lot of places that require tips actually did not like Koreans because, you would see $1 bill from a $30 meal being like, what? You just gave me $1? That kind of sucks. But now Kakao is saying, we're going to ask you guys to tip. I don't know if this is a good thing, a bad thing, but in terms of the reaction of Koreans, it's not that great. What they're doing is more of, oh my god, it sucks. It really sucks. So what this article is saying is that, there is now going to be a tipping service where in the Kakao app. So for those who don't know what Kakao is, it's actually a chatting service, but they have different branches. So there's now a taxi calling service on Kakao. And so what they're going to do is, after you use their service, it's going to politely ask you, probably, will you tip? So if you give them a 5 rating, they're going to ask you maximum of $2 tip. Or you could be saying, hey, would you be tipping this person $2? Of course, it's all dependent on the person. If they want to tip, and they will not take any 수수료. Any fine? 아닌데. Fine is not the word that I'm looking for. Sorry guys. English to Korean translation issue. Oh, they will not charge anything in $2. So that's the thing. Yeah, there's no extra fee being charged in the $2. So, and tipping is not a thing in Korea. That's the issue. That's why it's becoming a news in Korea, saying that we don't tip. We don't tip in restaurants. We don't tip in any type of service that's required. It's natural for these people to serve us. We're already technically paying you guys the bill because it's in the food fee, everything fee. So the fact that we're tipping for the taxi doesn't make sense. So of course people might see this as one way of saying, hey, taxi drivers need to be polite. I see why Koreans did this, because sometimes the taxi drivers are kind of rude in some sense of they drive like headless chicken. You go super fast, blah, blah, blah. And everything, or they're rude. They smell like smoke. It gets bad. Like for pregnant women like me, you take a taxi and you get someone who's a heavy smoker. The taxi just smells awful. or they try to go around and do all these like tricks and stuff on you. So they probably added a tip saying, hey, taxi drivers need to be polite to customers if you want the tip. So I could see why Kakao decided to add this feature in terms of making both the user and the provider happy. Or sorry, the provider, yeah, technically this would count as users being happy too. But it actually didn't make the users happy. They're kind of like, we're not used to tipping. We don't tip anywhere. People beg on streets. We don't tip them. We are not sure why you want us to do this. And of course it's not required, but probably, you know, actually in Korea, they're complaining about the food delivery fee too. Of being it too high. Now you're asking us to tip? Like, how are they gonna like also give us money then? You know, like what the fudge? So that being said, we're looking at US. And I brought a couple of articles. I thought this would be fun. This one I was trying to prepare for it. So you guys, you see a kiosk and it asks you add a tip. I hate this layout, by the way. I hate this interface when they literally ask you to tip. While the waitress or not the waitress, but the person who's who's in charge of like asking is right in front of me, because when you flip it, it tells you how much I'm paying. And then if I just do like $1 or no tip, it literally makes me feel bad. And that's the point of this effing thing. So this article, there was one article that described of the Tipflation and Tipcree. That's kind of actually making a spark, saying that I don't feel obligated to tip, right? So one part of the article that I really liked was that more types of employees are now asking for tips than in prior years, which you guys felt it too. If you guys go in front of kiosk, how many people were asked to tip in front of kiosk? And you're kind of wondering, okay, I did my own menu selecting, I did my own drink selecting, but they're asking me to tip. Now, where is this tip going? And I get to pick up my stuff there. Huh. That's interesting, right? So tips were traditionally, for those wanting to know the history, they were given to workers who earned the so-called tipped minimum wage. Makes sense. Federally set at $2.13 an hour. Those relying on tips to earn the balance of their income. This completely makes sense. I'm not going against this, because if you're earning $2 an hour and you're working for an hour, that's nothing. You could basically make nothing. So most commonly, these tipped workers are wait staffed at restaurants and bartenders. Now, I looked up in the article where these tips are being occurred. It's now happening at fast food restaurants, grocery stores, plumbers, online retailers, stadiums, and even self-checkout machines. So we earlier talked about the kiosk, right? Now it's kind of being a tricky issue. We just mentioned, hey, I'm clicking on everything for the kiosk. Where am I tipping it to? The kiosk? Is the kiosk gonna get $2 of my thing? What the fudge? So a tricky issue when inflationary Patreons may not feel like adding a tip for being handed a cup of coffee, yet you may feel shame to deny a tip request in public. I feel shamed. I feel so shamed. This is me. While I was reading this, I was like, that's me. I feel super shamed that I have to be tipping them when they are literally clicking buttons, or I'm clicking, right? So now, in terms of the tip price, guys, at a full service restaurant, it jumped 25.3% in third quarter of 2022, which is a lot. At the same time, restaurants and coffee shops are relying on point-of-sale kiosks and portable credit card readers that can be programmed while preset tip amounts. And merchants are set the baseline tip at 18% or even higher because it generates more revenue. Was the basic of this line. So let's talk about this tip thing, guys. Right? What do you guys think about this? This whole issue of should we be tipping? Is tipping required? Where should we be tipping? You don't tip most places. I wish I could do that, but I get this self-shamed if they're looking at me being like, oh, and can you fill this out? You know, you get that face. Don't you guys get that face? Sometimes they like turn the kiosk and they're like, oh, and you got to do the rest. And you're like, tip? Tip? Like, I know I mentioned this multiple times, and people know this story multiple times. And it's gonna be the story of my... I still will not forget about it, but my s'mores. Can you believe it? I bought 3 s'mores for $30. But including tip. 3 s'mores for effing $30, guys. $30. 3 s'mores. Can you believe it? Holy cow. Oh my god. Tips are just outrageous right now. So. Wear sunscreen on Eve. Yeah, s'mores is... So there was this fancy s'more shop when I visited New York, and I was with a couple. I was with a streamer and a intern who helped out. We have Strife there, and I wanted to thank them because, you know, I got so much help from Plummy, and then like Strife helped us with other things. So I was like, here, hey, s'mores on me. I'll pay. I got up there. He was being rude, by the way. Rude too, but he flipped the kiosk and he's like, yeah, and fill out the rest. Being so rude. Being so rude in asking for tip. Can you believe it? That attitude. It seems like if I don't tip, then I should be feeling ashamed. This type of knowledge or this type of like mindset is so bad. It's so bad. And the fact that they're using the customers. Of course, we don't want customers to always feel like God or always feel like everything. Of course, that's not what I want. But now, if you don't tip, they're basically gonna give you that shame look, being like, oh my god, this Asian don't tip. Yeah. So, and the biggest issue why I always wanted to tip was Koreans already have a stereotype of saying, or a lot of Asians have a stereotype of saying, Asians don't tip well at restaurants. So I just didn't want to have that type of mindset. So I definitely got that shame. But anyway, so in terms of discussion, let's talk about the first thing. Like, okay, we understand it increased 18%. Can you believe it? Let's talk about how much should you be paying in terms of tip. So right now, as of right now, American people, lunchtime, it goes up from 15% to 18%, if I'm correct, of total fee. Total bill, sorry. And then is it what, like 25%? And then 20% or 25% of total during dinner. Here's what I don't understand is that why am I paying a certain percentage of the total bill? I've seen a couple restaurants start their tip suggestion at 25%. That's the thing. Should they even suggest how much tip? Tip is something that's being gratitude. I'm just thanking my waitress for working hard to serve us. But the fact that they're suggesting? Should you suggest how much I'm tipping my waitress? Of course, they're so like really nice waitress that I really want to tip high. But if this waitress has an attitude of, excuse me, excuse me, yeah, we can't serve you that. It's like, I don't care about your suggested tips. I just don't want to pay you tips. Yeah. Suggest using cash and not pretending to know math. That's just a good way. Yeah. Yeah, tips are now expected. So, first of all, honestly, I don't like this 15 to 18% of how much I'm tipping. I just want to tip them how much they've worked hard. Because if you think about it, if I'm paying like $50 for lunch, how much is that in 15%? 얼마지? That's 5 is 10 plus 5, $7. $7.50 roughly. Dude, you know how much I could buy with $7? Like, how do we measure the amount of the fact that they measured the amount of like gratitude in terms of percentage? Isn't that also weird? Like, oh, she did 15% of the total bill. Perfect. Oh, is it $9? Oh, sorry. I can't do math. Is 15% $9? 와, 진짜 비싼 거야. Oh, it's 7.529. Ah, okay. Like, can you believe it? It's just so scary. It's really scary. I could be you know what I could buy with $7.50 or $9? And I know a lot of people are gonna be like, Jinri, you're just poor. I get that comment. I get that feedback too, being like, you don't have money to pay for $9. Well, did this person work up $9 of their effort? It's not like I hate on these waitress. I think, but if these waitresses aren't earning up to that 15 to 18%, should I feel like I should pay up to that percentage? And I shouldn't be saying this because my mom used to be, like my mom used to be a waitress. My mom used to be a waitress, and she also did like the person that tipped her a lot. Of course, that's common. But did she have an attitude of like, So it's a hard decision. And guys, $9 for certain people could be also a lot. And it's lunchtime. So I'm basically paying $60 per lunch. And you know what sucks is everything's increasing except for my income. That's also unfortunate. But anyways, so should we be paying this much? I'm not sure. It's starting to be cheaper just to travel to Asian countries to eat now. Yeah. You know what $9 you could buy in Korea? You could buy McDonald's in Korea with $9 because you don't tip. And usually dinner prices, of course, they're also like $60 if you go to like a decent restaurant. You just go to Olive Garden, Olive Garden, $60 you easily spend. Because each pasta is what, like $15? You get 2 pasta. You go out with a friend, you get 2 pasta. Of course, you're going to split the bill. But let's say it's going to be like 30, 40, 60, like some certain amount of money. Olive Garden. 20% is what, like, what is 20% of $60? 얼마지? Why can't I do math? Is it $12? 12? 15? Is it 12 to 15 then? Ah. And my second question, should they be even suggesting to tip? I just don't, okay, I do like the fact that they calculate the math for us, But the fact that they're like, okay, you could pay 20%, 25%, which is, I don't mind the math. I like the math. But when I check the math, you know what comes to my mind first? I'm like, holy cow. Holy cow. And what I'm worried about is that the fact that, hey, we do this, you know, we like, sorry, we're tipping. If we're tipping this amount of money, do people really want to go eat out more? Do you think people would be more obligated to go out? Would people want to go out and get dinner outside or just make food inside? There's a lot of pre-made these days. Don't you think pre-mades are much cheaper? Like, I don't think pre-mades tip. I don't think they ask us to tip the pre-mades. You know, you just gotta cut it in and everything, so. The suggested tip is based off the total amount with the tax. Yeah! So it's just crazy. It's just so crazy. The fact that they're using this tip service. And one thing that I'm always worried about is, do these really go to the waitress? Or another thing. Where does the tip go when we pay with kiosk? Right? Yeah, so actually when we tip, when our family tip, we usually pay $5 and we like make sure we give it to the waitress because we want the waitress to get it. We don't want the shop owner to get it. So the fact that they're using this, you know, as a way to make money in such a cheap way is so bad. It's just so bad. Tip the chef? That's true. That's true. I would see chef also getting it. It's hard. Yeah. So it is. Oh, it tracks your table and who waited on you. So, oh, based on trust. Yeah. So, what should we do about it? Should we just not tip? You know what we should do? Is just do a riot. Hey, F you. This is my solution, guys. Boss's solution on this tip issue. Riot. Hey, let's just not tip. F you. No tip. F you. You guys don't deserve tip at all. Oh.
So much pressure to represent. I gotta be a good Asian everywhere now. I gotta tip everywhere I go. That was one of the major advantages of being Asian, is I can just pretend I don't know how to tip.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That was
Y'all know
me.
what a Chinese tip is? Chinese tip, it doesn't matter how big your bill is, you tip $2. That's a That's Chinese tip, man. Now I gotta tip 20% everywhere. I gotta give every Uber driver a 5-star rating just so I can be a good representative.
Yeah. That's too much. Can we also talking about that? My fourth question is, where should we tip then, guys? The thing is, honestly, I don't understand. Like, some places, like kiosk. first of all. But like excluding restaurants, groceries. Sometimes I also don't understand taxi drivers. And you know what? Some taxi drivers, it's not all taxi drivers, but some taxi drivers literally force you guys to tip. They're like, you're tipping, right? On Uber. And it's just scary. Like, what did you do? Are you like, okay, you did, you're driving me to places, I understand, but I'm paying you the amount of price that you're saying, and now you also want us to tip for what? Because my understanding of tip, like it says earlier, is... Oh, thank you for not crashing. Is that why you should tip? So who actually tips taxi? Anyone tips taxi? Does everyone tip taxi here? Like, I don't understand it. That's why the Korean news of Kakao Taxi tipping. Oh. Taxi Uber, there isn't a guarantee they'll find other customer for the return fee. Oh, okay. Oh, I can see it that way. Oh, that's a great point. So if that's the thing, is like, I have to feel grateful, right, for helping us, instead of feeling obligated or forced when the driver is literally saying, yeah, I helped you, tip, or I drove you to this place, you better tip. It's like, oh, okay. So if I'm tipping, do I also pay him lunchtime is 15% and dinner is 20%? Like, how do I tip taxi drivers now? Well, okay, yeah, like, I'm thankful that he drove without any issue and he was being maybe safe, or in Snack's case, like, he was driving in a hurry because I could maybe miss my airplane, blah blah blah. How do we determine the amount of gracious fee here? Like, you went fast enough, you took 5 minutes off of my estimated time arrival, so like, let me calculate, you know, like, isn't that weird? Like, so I do like, well, usually what I do is I just, you know, do what Facebook said of saying, hey, keep the change. But, you know, for some people this is like, what the fudge, that's like 30 cents. Right? Or that's like 25 cents. So, it's hard. Like, I'm thankful. Isn't $5 enough for taxi? Or does he want us to be like $15, $20?
Jinri Heart.
It's hard. I think it's hard. I just feel like instead of asking us to do everything, as in, instead of asking the users to do every payment, why don't the companies who, I mean, that's the thing, that it's hard. The thing that's hard about taxi drivers is that I don't think Uber owns taxi drivers. I think they are actually considered as a, it's more like a partner. Contractor, thank you, right? Yeah, they are more contractor. So, in terms of Uber driver, or in terms of the company Uber, they're kind of like, hey, You're just using our service. We're helping you use our service, right? So that it's my... It gets to a point where it's like, how should we decide this? Who should we decide this? How much should the users be paying? Should we just do it by how much the app is asking? Do we really think how much the app is asking is how much they've earned? Man, it's so hard. It's really hard to measure everything by money. Yeah. But so at least Uber should take in some consideration, but would they? Not really. Hey, if I just sign them as contractor, that's great. So it's always up to the users to basically make the income for taxi drivers. So it's hard. Tipping is hard. Tipping is hard, and I see why people try not to maybe use the taxi a lot as much or any type of service in terms of tipping. The thing is, even if we boycott Uber, would Uber know? Would they be like, oh, they want us to tip, or they want us to help these contractor? Would they? I doubt it. They don't see a reason why. It's the only reason that they should do it is for ethics, right? It's for their own goods. Goodwill. If we were to take care of the taxi driver, it is goodwill. We are good human being. But let's talk. Do companies want to talk about goodwill? Do they want to think about ethics? All those things? If you know, hey, profit. I want to buy my next Louis Vuitton bag. What do I have to do? What do I have to do, guys, huh? So it's, I see why people would be like paying taxi drivers in terms of tip, but the amount is hard. Like, I'm not gonna, just because he drove me like 20 minutes, 10 minutes, I'm not gonna pay him like $10. So should we be like calculating, okay, he drove me 10 minutes. So minimum wage is, like the minimum wage for, let's say, Wisconsin is what, like $10? I think it increased to $10. Okay, so $10 of 10 minutes, it's going to be, what is it? 60 divided by, it was like $3.33. Roughly? Is this right? Does this feel like a decent dealio saying, hey, okay, minimum wage is $10. You know, he drove me 10 minutes. So we're doing the math, guys. Okay. If we could give him the minimum wage, oh, is it $7? 10 minutes? It's $7? Is this $10 per hour? Oh, minimum wage is $7. Okay. So if we do the math, guys, I'm not gonna use my brain anymore. 7. 뭐냐? Well, how do I do the math for this? Okay, he gets $1.21. Does this sound fair? 아, 참 어려워. Well, now if we consider what you guys were saying, okay, we can't guarantee his ride back because he needs another ride back to, get that back. Oh, okay, so maybe like $3 more. Oh, you know what I mean? It's like, oh. It's hard. It's hard. It is hard. And whatever you're paying in terms of the tip, it gotta be for your own gratefulness. But the thing is, it should not be forced. And the fact that they're forcing it on you, you know what it sometimes feels like? Sometimes it feels like, yeah, it feels like paying a streamer. Some people don't like the fact that they ask you to pay the streamers. But the thing is, are we gonna feel like, then what do we have to do? I'm bringing you content. I prepared this content, right? I prepared you guys. We're gonna talk about Tipflation. I'm giving you knowledge in Korea. This is happening. This is type of educational content. Are you guys paying me? You guys, you're watching me for 2 hours 41 minutes. I better be earning $14 an hour or $7.25 per hour. Paying with ads, it's not you guys, right? You guys are the users. You guys should be tipping me. Are you guys tipping me? Should I force you guys to tip me? It's really bad. The tipping system itself is so hard. It's really hard. So people should tip for being good customers in the form of discounts. Oh. Probably even happier that the anger about tipping gets directed at the employees rather than the employer. Yeah. Hey, Moonpark Opa, thank you for $14.25 of tip. Guys, we got one person to tip. That's great. So it's hard. Honestly, it's hard in terms of this business because I know in terms of the Uber driver aspect or this person who's getting the tip aspect. I understand it. I understand that it's hard and that you want to force it. Oh, thanks for my $7.25 of tip. I got minimum wage of an hour. I did 3-hour streams. Okay. We're getting there. That's great, guys. We're getting somewhere, but it's hard. It's hard. And of course, you guys probably feel the same way when you're watching other streamers. Yeah, it's fun watching you guys. But do I feel grateful that I should tip you? Not really. I mean, you should thank me for watching and commenting on like other people. That's probably what some people have in their mind. So who should we blame it on? Probably the corporation. But are they going to do it? Probably not. Like what Snack was saying. Yeah, they're probably happier about this anger in terms of tips and stuff. So see, look at Hamstrong. Just instead of him even tipping, he's just kind of like, you should tip me for watching you. Like, hey, you should thank me for watching you. You know, instead of me, who actually provided the content and like this idea of like talking and making a discussion. So it's hard. Tipping is hard. I always say this. Tipping is hard. Any decisions to be made is hard, but who should be in charge of it, right? Same thing with Twitch. Does Twitch owe me? Not really. We're just the contract. So do I have medical bills? Hey, thanks for the $5 podcast. Thank you, Odyssey. But does that, does that mean anything? So is Twitch gonna pay me? Yeah, we have ads, but do I get enough of ad fee? You know how much? Oh, talking about ad fee. Do you want to know how much I used to get in terms of ad fee? $3. $3 ad fee, guys. It's easy math for the company. Keep your product's price low and employees turnover high. Not their responsibility to provide a livable wage so long as this loophole exists in our economy. That's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. So anyways, my solution, guys, just we could be like F you to probably places that shouldn't be tipping, like cough cough cough, anything that uses a kiosk, or anyone who's being rude. Like honestly, if they're forcing you guys, forcing and asking politely could be different. Like sometimes if they ask me like, oh, like I hope you guys really enjoyed my service to drive you. For example, for taxi drivers, if they're really polite about it, like, hope you enjoyed the ride, and if you could tip, that'd be really thankful for me. You know, like if they say it in a nice way instead of being like, yeah, and tip. I mean, I was going to, but now, like, you say that, like, I don't want to tip it, right? So, you know, so just be polite about it. Because if you think about it, even taxi drivers, they are doing a customer service job. Would you be feeling like a customer service job should be anything that deals with rudeness or anything that's being forceful? Not really. So, and we gotta figure out those people, you know, those people who's using this. Not just the company, but waitress or like employers who's, you know, using this as an advantage. Like, those people need to wake up from reality, man. Like, we're the same people. We're the same people who trying to work like that type of people. So should you be paying? So, disguising as charity to ask for a tip? That could work too. 한국은 팁이 없잖아요. 사장님 보기엔 어때요? 사실은 저는 저희 시청자들과 의견이 달리 저는 택시 운전기사는 팁 주는 거에 좀 반대였어요. 그러니까는 회사 입장에선 좋아. 왜 했는지도 이해는 돼. 그런데 2,000원까지 내가 2,000원 벌기 얼마나 힘든지 아세요? 2,000원 벌기 정말 힘들어요. 그러면서 내가 팁까지 줘야 된다? 난 너무 어려울 것 같아. 나는 그건 정말 어려울 것 같아. 그래서 좀 좋은 방법으로 하면 좋겠지만 회사 입장에서도 내가 과연 택시 운전기사에게 팁을 주고 싶냐? 아니, 팁뿐만 아니라 뭔가 베네핏이나 그런 거 주고 싶겠어? 나 그것도 싫어. 참. 그래서 어려운 분야예요. 진짜 팁이라는 게 정말 어려운데 그만큼 그 사람이 나에게 도움이 됐거나 그랬었으면 나는 팁하는 것도 괜찮을 것 같긴 한데 모르겠어요. 어려워요. Hi, Tool! Thanks for the shout out. So, if the taxi is autonomous, do you still tip? That's a great question. And every time if it goes autonomous, I'm gonna ask, where does the tip go to? The engineer? Or like the company? So hopefully waitress employers using this as an advantage. Shame on you! Those people should be shamed, not customers. So, like, guys, this is a customer service job. The point of anonymous. Thanks for the gifted stuff to Toll. Thank you. 감사합니다. Thank you so much. No. So that's my solution. Anyone want to add to what we could be doing? I mean, all I could think about is basically writing and being like, F you. F you. Life sucks. But corporate wants customers and employers fight instead of them. Yeah, actually, you know what really should happen? They should team up and fight against corp. But at the same time, I feel bad for the corps. So the reason why I say this is, for example, I know Twitch doesn't pay me that much, but I don't hate on Twitch because at least they provide me the platform, and Twitch is also running out of money. So if they die, then I just lose my job. And that could be the same thing with Uber, for example. If Uber is asking to like pay a lot of money for the Uber driver itself, like, will Uber have a future? Could they even come up with something new in terms of solution and everything if they're spending all their money, all their profit on like caring for the taxi drivers? So German learns about tipping in the US. Do I want to learn about that? So anyways, this is all. They could team up and fight, but honestly, it's hard. It's definitely a hard topic, and I really wish things get figured out. You know what? You guys have convinced me. Taxi drivers, if they don't have a route back, they should. I understand tipping the taxi drivers, but I could be evil and say it's not really my fault. I already tipped them for the service that they drove us to the place. But if we want to have some humanity in ourselves and be like a nice human being, and karma, they always return back. Kind of understand. So, and $2 probably for the taxi driver could be a lot, but for me, maybe it couldn't be, because chat's gonna pay up my $2, right? Every time I take a taxi, you guys better be paying me $2 so that I could tip my Kakao Taxi driver, right, guys, and it's gonna be part of the company fund. So, play Huan? What is this? 뭐지? 잠깐만. Wait, I don't even show this. 잠깐만. How do I? Okay, the question of his thingy was, how much am I tipping Uber driver? Let me just share it like this. I have to show you guys how. Wait, there's an answer to this? There's an answer? Okay, honestly, from what Seiji-kun has been saying, I think it's 0. Did I get it? Where'd it go? Oh, I must have need to. Oh, fudge you. No! Okay. Let's see Tunation. Widget? 후원 관리. Sorry, I'm not a good streamer in terms of this, so I don't have it. Oh, it was play. No. Did I miss it? You came on the wrong day, Toll. No, but we could talk a little bit about it because you're here. Because you're here, I'm gonna talk about it. Did I miss it? I think I missed it. On there. Wait, so Seishiku, did I get it right? Anyways, to wrap up my story in terms of Tipflation, guys. Solution, we got the solution, we got the cause. Anything if you guys want to add in, feel free to tell me or write a comment below. But this type of like feeling obligated to tip needs to stop. It was a thing, it was a trend, it was something that we wanted to thank the waitress because they're also getting paid like $2. But the fact that they're increasing it to 25%, 30%, and even suggesting it, plus their attitude of, yeah, well, guess what? If you don't pay, you're gonna be known as a douchebag, and I'm gonna upload your face on TikTok because you didn't pay me. Needs to stop. Like, that's just no. So that was all for my Tipflation talk debate of bag of knowledge. Hope you guys got a little knowledge in terms of tips. It's a hard system. I know, I understand. And everyone who's involved, corporation, and not as much probably, but still, like, corporation might have some issues. But corporations and the users, the customers, they're all having issues. So hopefully they find a balance, a very good balance so that everyone's happy. So that's all for my Tipflation. Hope you guys enjoyed it.